Okay. Seems like we've done a million of these already. As long as people are not getting bored, I'll keep going. I'm going to break. I've never spoken about jokes before, but I must have had dozens of inboxes asking about jokes. So here's my thoughts on it. I shoot a multi-choke tube gun. I've won the world championships changing chokes every position. And I won the world championships when I left them at home and only had two with me. I don't believe it makes a huge amount of difference, but it makes a huge amount of difference mentally. I'll tell you a little story before we begin. In 2006, I had a shoot-off for the World Championships in FITAS in Minnesota against George Digweed and Anthony Matarese. We viewed the targets, and they were the hardest 25 targets I've ever seen in my life. I'd never gone above half choke before that day. And I sat there and I thought, do I put my 2 3/4 in? And I really couldn't decide. And what I did decide was, I'm not going to get back on that plane having lost a world championship in my head of being undergunned. And I literally come down to a spin of a coin. And when I decided to commit to something, that's it. I'm done. I won't change my mind. So I literally went heads for 3/4 and tails for halves, or vice versa, whichever way it was. Span the coin, 2 3/4 it is. Back then it was quarter, half, 3/4, full, etc. None of this 3/8, 5/8 and all that. So I put my 2 3/4 in, felt confident. Probably shot the best I've ever shot. I shot 24. Both George and Anthony, I believe, shot 19, if I remember correctly. I was crowned world champion, got back on the plane. Got back to the hotel. And when I travel, I always take my choke tubes out because of the swelling between the different materials on the aircraft. So I took my 2 3/4 out, and as I was doing so, I realised I'd put 2/4 in by mistake. And from that day forward, I realised that, they don't really matter. I thought I had 2 3/4 in there for these long birds, and because mentally I assumed I had them in, that's what I thought I had in and just shot. If you'd have put me with 2/4 in there, I'd have probably shot terribly because the mental mindset wouldn't have been right. Now, even to this day, I still shoot a multi-choke gun though, for the reason I like the balance of them. I like them sticking out the end of the gun. I like how they look. But I don't shoot regular choke tubes, and I don't believe if you want to get to the top, now I'm talking at the top level here, I'm going to go through the levels. You cannot simply shoot a choke tube that comes with your gun. Let's imagine that, Beretta, Krieghoff, Perazzi and everything like that, their barrels are made to tolerances. Some can be in a Krieghoff, some can be 18 this, 18.4, 18.6. So choke tubes are made to an average of what they're going to be. So you could be quite considerably out on what it says. Just because it says quarter on it does not mean it's a quarter to that barrel. It's an averaged out quarter or improved cylinder, 3/8 or whatever. So if you are at the top level or you're aspiring to be, you do need to work with a choke company. I work with Briley. So I send Briley my barrels, cartridges, and they send back the choke tubes that match what I'm going to be using. It's quite an in-depth subject that I'm not going to go massively into my side of things, but I want an even pattern. I'm not worried too much about center dents. I'm not worried about smoking targets. Doesn't interest me. You just got to break them. When people say, "Oh, when you smoke a target, it gives me confidence." Well, missing one completely because you were overchoked certainly does not give you confidence. If you're at your beginning of your shooting journey and you're just beginning, my advice would be 2 3/8. I think it's the best choke on the market. That's light modified in old money. I don't understand people that put 2 different chokes in. I don't think that makes sense. If you're going to be a non-choke changer, they want to be the same. If you've got a 40-yard bird followed by a 40-yard bird, it's both the same. You've got 2 different chokes. To me, it makes no difference. I decided at the beginning of this year I wouldn't change chokes for the year. I made a conscious decision to see if I sorry, that was last year, if I how my mindset was just by dealing with that. And I had a fantastic year last year, a great showing at all majors, very consistent in all finals. So I would have gone ahead with that this year. I shot 18 thou in both barrels. That's just shy of half choke in both barrels. That pretty much explains where I sit on the subject. These people that say they're going to pattern this and pattern that, unless you're going to pattern every week, it really doesn't make any difference. What you just should do, like I said yesterday, give your gun to somebody else. Let somebody else go and do your testing for you. Don't do it yourself, because it will cause more mental problems than it fixes. Let somebody take that gun away from you, see what goes well. It might be an 8 that goes better. It might be a 7.5 that goes better. It might be, a velocity. It might be a black gold. Find what suits you. Don't worry about speed. Certainly don't go patterning stuff, because you're not going to learn absolutely nothing. So choke tubes, for me, wrapped up in a nutshell, if you believe what's in there is correct, it's correct, as I proved with my story earlier. Don't overthink it. Just be confident that what you've got in there will do the job. If you're not a choke changer, 2 3/8 is the best choke on the market. And people say, why do the top shooters shoot full and full? My simple answer to that is they don't. There's a lot of bullshit, a lot of lies. Again, boost their confidence, makes people believe, and unfortunately that's the way of this sport. Don't believe all you see or hear. 2 3/8, 2 halves, you'll be absolutely good to go. As normal, comment below. I'll help you out as much more as I can after this, but that's my little short insight on chokes, guys. Stay safe.